Hello techies, I'm Divya here. On behalf of CyberBrainer, don't you think the world of tech is evolving faster than ever? Now is the perfect time to dive in and build the skills that will take you places. With CyberBrainer, we are putting you in the driver's seat of your own future. We at CyberBrainer don't just teach your interest. We believe that knowledge is power, but it's applied knowledge that truly sets you apart. Whether you're diving into data science, mastering artificial intelligence, or exploring the world of cybersecurity, our courses are designed to give you the skills that matter. So let's jump into the session and make the future yours today. Thank you.
Here we started discussing about components yesterday. We started working on that and we started creating one. Let me open the pages. Here we have the page. Yes, this is what we did yesterday. We created a new component by using the name Suljam board. And then we start using our page, different type of pages, and then how we can use it on page that we can read the value of these pages in our HTML. That is slightly, or we can also call it as HTML. That we discussed yesterday. We have the dialog and we have the HTML. We discussed that the name of the component is, then they should be at post one HTML. They should be only one HTML whose name should write the name of the component. That will be the HTML. It will be called first. Now if you have any other HTML like say, create by a new job of HTML, you have it now and you write inside it HTML. Basically, why does it provide? It is we discussed yesterday. Also, why does it provide? Because I live, you are having GSPs and GSPs. It was like everything goes within just the Java code. There was no modularity. Overcome that. The game of the solution that is on the site. They came up with the same way of their own. It's not an open source language, but it's an Adobe provider. Using this, you can do some manipulations, some operations within HTML. And of course, we're doing the rest of the operations or manipulation. You have to call the backend Java file, which is called a sling model and tightly provides a way to call your backend Java file as well from the HTML. All those basic manipulations can be done using site tags. We have tags and attributes in HTML society provides like we have this demo. HTML5 has a lot of tags and suppose we know this thing. But slightly in this HTML, we can use all those HTML5 plus we can use the cycle. If I talk about a slightly, once there is a single slightly tag, the site only provides one tag and some attributes. That if I talk about the tags, there's only one tag beside the board and rest are the attributes. Firstly, let's see some attributes and then we will see what. What is that side? Now, within this day, let's say you have this to the word and you have this new to the word. You wanted to include this new to the word into the story. What will you do is let me use again some different. Now, let's start with discussing the attributes that side of the white. All the site. The attribute starts with the name. It does like. All the attributes of society starts with the name data, say, and then the name of that which is. Since we want to include an extra within the, then you. And then of course, normally you cannot include an HTML within another HTML if you're using the simple HTML5. But using this status like include, you can do that. But what HTML? And here you will set it. And if I open the page, you can see it. This is the word here. It statically included all the code from the new HTML into your event. Now, even if you want to create a new HTML and like new to the word one here, new to the one, new to the word one HTML. And if you want to include that inside this, you can do it. This is an HTML. It will also have all those slightly here. Also, you can use all those type of side. This is to statically into a. In HTML within another site HTML. Other is, the next is, let's discuss about the next, which is an if condition. Like you have any condition in Java or your. You can make an if else here. We only have an if condition, we do not have an else. But how we use an ifs make, let's do it with that. With that we use the checkbox. What was the checkbox? What was the name is me? And this was a checkbox. Is. This is what I will say. And they are like the data slide test. For this what we use this data slide test to make an if condition. Now to make an if condition, now here you will use these brackets because now we are doing some manipulations. When you are statically doing something, then look directly into it. When you are doing some manipulations, then you have to use again the dollar and bracket signs because like here also, you are reading the thing. Ultimately, we are doing some manipulation, not statically. And what is that? How will you read? How will you read the value of his name? How will you read the value of his name in your HTML properties? Yes? What is this? What is this? Hyphen test again. I can test. It's like a mid condition. Oh, if I'm saying is male, checkbox is selected. And I will play. And now, if you want to make an else condition, then you can just stop it. There's no direct way to make an else condition, but that's the way to say. Here if I know. Hello if I open this and select is made. Open this. Let's place this also inside that. Now the part. Now see, you have to use this. You have to again when you are doing. When you did over here, what you did is you call in the site of the property you did. This value over here is me. And then you again read that value and said, if it is not in this condition. But here there is another way to better write this code. Here you can see the out of this inside a variable. What we can do is after, not as you can provide a variable in like anything, any variable in my mail with mail variable. Now a boolean value of this mail. Oh. Here we use and we save the value of this properties dot mail inside this. And further, we can check like this instead of again. You can do it. This is also the same way of doing it. What we did is inside we stored the boolean value. What will come out of this? Inside this way. And then we store it over here. Even if you will check it now, it will work as it is. Here you see this and then. Now, in the same way, like you have this test, in the same way it will work as a use case of storing variables. Like if you want to save the variable in some, if you want to save the value of some variable. And what you can do is like here, if I have this, just close this. And here, if you want to store the address like or address in a variable, you can even store it like this. You can use this. Test is using both the cases. You can save the value of a variable. You can save the value of an often, like what is inputted by the author in the variable. When the print that, also when that. Here, let me save it inside any variable like to do, and to let me just print it. How will you print it? Here it will go anywhere. Simply print. Now you do not need properties. Just simply print it. What I did is I got this value of this variable over here and I'm simply printing it. That's a string value. Alphanumeric. Variables are alphanumeric by type. It means it's a string variable. It is simply printed. Even if it's any time numeric or anything, it doesn't matter. You're just printing the value. We need this. Variable can hold any type. It doesn't matter. You do not define it like in the internet or in Java. You have to define the data type. It's not like in Java, if you use where and the name of the variable. It's the same. You do not have to define it. It will just start storing the value. Now we add and subtract and all using that variable. No, you cannot do the arithmetic allocation. That all you have to do. You can combine strings. You can combine string like you have two strings. You have first name and last name and between that you want some another text. That can be combining things that can be done. There are operations for that. Join like and all those, but not automatically. Operations can be done over here. There are string operators are there. Some string, some basic, not many like if you think that substring and all those can be done. Just simple basic. See, slightly is just for performing some basic operations. All the major manipulation can only be done in the backend job, which in slightly it is called a sling motor. I will show you how you will call the sling models, and there you will do all the manipulation. Where I can find this documentation, like an Adobe search, the search site your HTML in, and you have it just simple. It's not something that gets started with the HTML or slightly. All these are same. Here you will find all the tags here. We discuss about this. And then we also discuss about include. We discuss about this desk. It's a combination. It's saying if both title and description is being inputted. Here, if you click on any property which is not it, it checks if this property has been inputted or not. It's simple. Similar way, I will discuss more like data, like use. Yes, of course I will discuss. This to use is very important. Which is we using, which we will call our slightly. We will discuss this is this. We will discuss by the time. We will discuss these. These are which one though? The above one which we see is some scripts. This one, this is function. This is here. The data slide use is basically used to call your backend job file or either some script where you can do some manipulation. This scripting is not a best way of working, like you can call it. And in JS you can do something, but it is not the best way to see in case if you want to write some complex operation, you want to call some backend job, you want to call some API or something. And everything that you have to do is set the backend only. Some basic, yes, some string model, some basic thing you can do in the JS, and it is the use here to use. You can call this JS and you can do some operation, but this is all the backend, which is what we will discuss. If the website is already running on Angular or something, then all those needs to be here Angular tags. Angular tag, like maybe you will have some attributes and your Angular would be reading those attributes, maybe performing on this. You will be calling your Angular things from here. Something like one of our prior application was in JK. We used to have overall attributes over here and our JK reads suits and work on the visual. I will tell you how the front end works in a year. And all these, there is a different now what you say. You were saying a lot of anyway, the JavaScript client-side validations will be there. No many places, client-side validations. For that we need JS. Of course, without JS, without CSS, how will this work? We need to include. Yes. No, since you mentioned, that is not a good practice. I was just asking. I thought you mentioned. It's not a good practice. Including J instead. Have it done in Sling. You mentioned backend. That is a different thing. Here is not. Here you cannot write the JK thing that they use this. You forget about this, but don't go into this. You don't go into this for now. This is different. This is for performing logical operations. This is not JK. You can either sequence the JS function. This is not that. Here are some of the basic manipulations you can do. This is a used way. You can use that like the way in which you use. I will show you how you use the sling model where you will do all the manipulation and some manipulation you can use inside this. And here you see. Have you ever seen any JS? Starting with this use. This is called a used. This is where you do some basic manipulations. This is not the one where you can write your jQuery and where you can write your JS methods and all the regular things. It is not that. Don't go ahead. Otherwise, you will be yourself confused. No, shut up. What you are explaining? In the use and.js, you were just saying that. I told you, it is an alternative that you use sling model or either you use this. Now this is not the one where you can do the jQuery and the JS. If you want to write JS, if you want to write CSS for a component, which helps us in which designs a component and have the look and feel of that. That is altogether a different thing. That is not the same. I will tell you that. Don't worry about that. The different, forget about this. We are not going to learn this in our team. This is not suggested. I was thinking this is the actual JS. This different. Let's go ahead. Let this another one of the tag that we have inside. Here we have. If you go to the preview, you see what we did is we used a lot of places like here. We use the dev and everywhere like hello mail. You will see if I expect this. You will see that the entities are added at all the places. Because just to use the site attributes, we have to use the tags. You can use any tag, like you can use the paragraph or anchor, anything you can do, but I think you have to use some tag to use the attributes of slightly. And ultimately, on the page you will see, this empty text gets printed. This is a problem. This is a problem because once you start writing, people are making. When you start designing your website, your design may break because you have the impetus while reading you're in something, things in your ears that it may be very difficult. These are empty days and it is not like we are working. Is that we are working? Where do we need an empty text? But for this problem, what side is that since you are using these tags with the data which doesn't need these tags, there is a tag which we will provide which is called a slide. They provide a slide and slide tag, but it automatically removed from the page. Source. If I will refresh this, where did we add it? We added inside that. My address is, and if I would refresh it, here if I will inspect my address, if I go inside the edge one, you can see the details, but let's see if they read inside the, or you can see there is nothing surrounding the. My address is India. Now slide is an. Only that is provided by site. The rest of the attribute itself in. In performing some operation, like if you want only the tag attribute to be used, but there should not be any surrounding, that should get printed as part of source. And you should use this slide. Here, why do you need this to be surrounded when you have this? When you're including this item, just remove it. In the same day, there is another way where we can dynamically add or remove this surrounding and surrounding. Here, let's say on the base of the condition, if it's a male and we want. And you should be there if it's a female and the tag should not be there. Let's say it is all the condition, there is an attribute which is provided, which is called as it has lie, and under app says, do you want to under the surrounding tag or not? If this condition will come out, it's an Boolean condition, similar like it is like this. If it will come out with you and your surrounding will be removed. If it will come out to be false, then it will not be surrounding this here. We will say if the property is male. Let's say the property is male, then we will remove that surrounding tag. If property is male, then we will remove the surrounding tag. If it is female, then let's not remove the surrounding tag. Here, in this case, we will do like this. If it's a male, then data slide under the surrounding tag. Otherwise, don't. If I will refresh it, and if I will show you over here, where is that? Where is that? Hello, male. Data slide. Here it is. I haven't put the other. That is like this. That is a let's put somebody. Here a hello mail support mail. There should not be any surrounding that if I will go. You will see. You can see there is no surrounding tag for hello me, but the time I will change it to. And then the preview mode and I will inspect it again. Is that the edge one? Well, it's not there. If it's not me, this condition. It is like and still not there. It is like under a male. It's come out to it. It's male, not female. It's not me. Is this condition true or false properties? In our case, it is female. It should not be female. It should not be like this. If it's me, on either. If I will refresh it now, because here what will happen is if it's a female, this will come out to be false. And here it will not under, it should. Why did I put that sign, extremities? If I go and refresh it, and you can see now, it's not. This is another way to dynamically check whether you want that surrounding activity or not. In case of if you are all sure, and use that, then use the slide, and then use the slide. Now there comes requirements when you want to include a component within another component. Like we have a total comp, and within this you want a title number to include. We statically include it. I mean the same way if you want to include a couple with another company, there is a tag. That is slide. It has slide. The source. It has my resources include a component within another component. Here you say that my title is what you wanted to include and I think I was. Check the exact syntax. Let me just try this. This is the source type of this. I'm not sure if this is correct or not. If I scroll down, the case looks like I think that field syntax is wrong. Let me just get it from internet. The slide. This is the source. The slide is, for example, it's like it should also be. What's my title? I will show you in a minute. We are including the title component like we used to give the resource type. We are saying the resource type is this. Let's see. It works or not. Still, the syntax is wrong. Let's tell the syntax is correct. Let me go to the edit board. You can see my new pages has started coming. Here is the dojo word. Comparent is the title. Somewhere which is overlapping. The complete. How I use the. Not the correct way, but yes. Now my this component. The title component is over here. Now if I open this, let's say, and I think there is some. On. Let me just remove this one. And again, please. What was it? Here it is. Somehow it is overlapping, because of which it is causing it to. What is the issue? I will check on this. I think there is some syntax or something. Now let me put. This is how you include the result. If I will go to my this component. This page. Nope. Over. You will see a child page. A child component for that will get added with the name. And this host, I will be this. If I will go over here, container. Here you see. Inside the container, the code, you told you what you will have, a might item. Use. Now what we did is we said that the title should be added as a child component for this. And here the name for this. The name for the note is something that you can write it. Let me just get it. You were saying something that we just get. I think I. Well, it's the way. I don't know why it was wrong. I think Sumit's talking. Let me just remove. You were saying something else. I was saying this is a child component. It will be added as a child. It will be a child component of this. What happens mostly is like in companies. We used to have text image component, text with image component. But how it is available is we develop separately and text component and separately and image components. Those two can be used independently. Plus in the text with image component, we use the data, the resource to include those two components. In this way, it's the purpose instead of a single purpose for text image. Here you see some issue with some, only because you see now it is a feeling properly. I can able to edit this to you. If it is male or that does, let's say India. But still I think, because I remove all the above thing. And if I enter the title, you think, here it is appearing well. But the thing is here, this one is not working. And this one, if I try to print some things over here. Let's see if I only try to print these. Let's only Now it is working. No, it still has. The issue looks like. I will see what is the styling. They look like, because it should not overlap with this. Now it is overlapping. No, this is the timing thing only. Let me just. This is the way it is, or the styling and how we include it. But it is also used to include a component within another component. Now once we executed this, I'll come on and got created under that node. Oh, when we had executed multiple times. What happens if it will? What happens when we execute multiple times? But you need to execute multiple times. That is why the source, that line. First time when it executed this child and on what created it. The left hand side. It's already there now. Now the child is already, the white will be created again and again. It's already there. Now it's time when it this execute again and again, nothing will happen. No, nothing will happen. If I refresh this way, it will stay there only here. It's not that it will start getting anything. Once I see a name already, it does not touch. It will not override. See, in the same way, you could have asked by on including that data slide include when we included that HTML. That should also have been including multiple times when this component would be called again and again. If this component is getting called again and again on the page, like by refreshing this page, and this component will get called. And this data slide include will also be getting executed multiple times, and then it means that this HTML should also be including each and every time when this page is in this. This is new Tojo word here should start again and again and again. Again. There is a difference. No, that's the same. It is just we are including an HTML here. We're including a component. If you go back, let me see. Here when you include, you mean to say this component, this. My title was already existing, or was it created on the component is already here. How does it matter if it's not already there? If it's now created, component is there. See the title, component is there. I just included it in the same way the HTML was there, or I created it. I included it. I include it over here to include an HTML. I include it using the data center to include a component. I use the data site source. The my title that was created based on content node. Is the more than node name. This is we are saying that this is the title component that you want to include but it is a node name that should create in the container. Otherwise, it will give some default names or something like this. We said this is the name of the node that should get created, and this is the component that we want to include. I see. This would be called, should be getting called multiple times, and this should also be getting called multiple and multiple. HTL should get included in that. That is not the case. My title is the name of the content node. If you click that, can you please click that my title? Then there will be a selling resource type maybe. Then title. Link resource type is title. Now let's go ahead and discuss. We have few more. Here they are. If you see there few more which are somehow use some, like I'm telling you about, that are quite open. Use like I will tell you about this. This is very important. Data use, but some like when you will start working, you will get to know by yourself. I really matter just for printing the element. You will. Some elements will be there. Attributed, the simply that attribute name will get printed inside that front. Now let me show you. We can emphasize on some example in the field, some areas. When you cover, you can tell me. See the most open use and the most openness, that one which I'm going to tell you, which I'm telling you. These are the one that you will use on regular day-to-day basis on in your regular development. There are a few more. See, I will try to cover 60-70% of the thing. Of course, there are 30 which are not open use, which I'm giving it to you because when you start exploring, then you will already be knowing. This is the purpose behind this. This is another tag which you have to use. I will tell you the whole because now I've told you it is a site given the purpose. I've told you many site later, but for sure. Now only I have to tell you few more. But they are human, which will be left for sure. That will be for you to explore. Now let's start working on the site. We think of calling the backend of a class. How to see how you call it is by using a data slide user to be any dynamic operation that you have to perform. Even if you have to call that use here, then also you would use the slightly and also you will use the data for you. But use JS is not a preferred way of working. Always use a sling model if you have some operations to perform on the back end. Like in our case, here we have, consider, here we have, then we want to perform some business logic. Of course, in business logic and only within the backend. Here to call that what you will use, this data slide use. And now we will call it to create we do not have. We still do not have one. We'll create one and then we will call it was here. Let's go to our IntelliJ. Let's close this. And let's firstly include a new project that we created. I will do more tool and this is a project that I create. It's a main one project. I included this in my. Oh, this only we're telling we need a license. See, in case if you're using IntelliJ, you can use a free version. If you want to use limited functionality, you cannot use any plugins and all. It's a freeware if you use Eclipse. That is, I think, open source and you can use some plugins. But I prefer using IntelliJ because it's more convenient to use, more handy, mode of friendly and all. I told you all the backend. It looks cool. If you Google it. Here you have all the things and see, the best thing is when you create a default project by default. By default improvide. By default EM provide with some many of the I can't even simplify. You see there is a model folder. You see there is already a model already. I'll be sure. Your mind is not resolving it. I think I have to be one. Because now it is not dissolving it. It dependencies, or somehow I think it looks. It's looking like it's not referring to me. When all the things to the time there is on the frame of the eye, you can see it first is on, looks like. Now you have to get a new one. Best is you do a copy pasting with similar. What I can do is I can create a new job. Well, for now, the rest of the training I will rapidly copy. Let me get in you. Wordle. See, whatever is preferred way of writing operating a model classes, you use the component name and then the end. Whatever the name you wanted, it's up to you. But best practice or whatever you say. Like to give it a proper name, the name of your component, and with the model. I said this. Firstly, make a Java class explain what you have to use. A great portal and notation and adaptable is the resource. Source. And this is. I will tell you why. Did I use it for many? To hold you, every node is a store or more in. Here, this node is in here, this mode, or this is a resource. That is what I said is. See what will be. The purpose of the sling model is, which is to your word, model, is that whatever the values we will be calling our sling model from here. Now see one way to get the properties, one way to read the dialog values in our site is, this property is not full name. But how would you read these values in your word model? Because this model should also be able to read the values. Because then only it will be able to perform the business logic. To read these values, what we are saying is that it is mapped. Sling model is mapped to the current resource. And what is my current resource? My current resources. My content here, if this is my current resource will be mapped. My sling model, once it will be mapped, all the values that I have on this resource. These are all the values. Each color hole name is made. All these other values will automatically get my sling model because this current resource will start rippling to or will start up this sling model. This is my resource. Here I'm saying that temple resource.last. What I'm saying is that my current resource should get adapted into my sling model. If I will say await string and what is the name? Here always remember, what is that? What is the property that we want to inject? It is the full name. I will say the exact full name and inject it. We will use annotation at the end. EM is all about annotation. This is all simple Java classes. You made the annotations to perform the functionality. When we will discuss all the back and everything, it will be all annotations only, and annotation makes a job. File sling model. Really, when we discuss about services, we will use a separate type of annotation. It's all annotations in AMP. Notations help you in achieve. We use inject private. What is the other property? The other property is my address. The private string, either you use exact my address exact, it should match exact. If you do not want to use my address, you use the variable name as this, and you can even use a great name annotation. And here you can see the name is my address. This is another. If you do not want to exactly make a variable name, from here, you got to choose to hear them. And you can use the name. I will do. Let me do a public. Here let me. My name is, what is my name? This is my address. My address. I use the variable name as this, but I said that how it get injected is by using this variable name. This is a simple. The method I created. I named it as public that I can use it. I can call it inside my site. We have to call this link model inside my site, and then I will call this method. Let me do one thing. Let me just. Here, I'm inside my door. Let me go inside the court because it is only inside the court and it is all of my whole court. It will take me for a minute. Let's just only. If it's in the back and go only. We are building your bundle. Then let me do the front end. How would you call this thing model? I have to write the complete backend name. I have to provide the name of your job file as well. The name is there. What is the name of the job? It is to work model. And here you all this. Like the way you got that, you would be calling a class. How do you create the object of this class? You create it by using the new variable. Here you created the object. Come up somewhere, you have to put the object, like the baby store. We're able to put the object into this video inside. That is in the same way. This is the model inside the variable. Let's say Tujo model is the variable name which I use. My code is successfully built. And let me go back and now want it to call inside the word model, the table name, store the object. What do you want to call is this method? To call this method, since it's a getter setter, I told you the word, which I have getter setter. To call any method, it should start like with a, here to call it. You won't write the complete method, and you will just write. You won't write get, and we won't be capital. And calling it from site. You won't use get. After that should be small, like if it's details Tojo and T was capital. Then T will be small, but it will be capital. Got? Now if I will call, let me just see. Let me just see from where I'm calling it. I'm calling it in the top. You can see my name is Tojo. My address is India. In the top. Let me just go back. Here you are calling your back end Java. Using the data slide you need. You are calling, you have to provide the complete package name. And your name of your file. Name of your Sling model which you wanted to call. And then you have to. You are calling the method. You name the method. That is why you are only able to call. If you make it as private, you won't be able to call this. And you call that by removing the get and you made that small. And here you are able to call the methods. Any simple business operation that you want to write. You can of course write it over here. This is Sling model. I will tell you some more features of this. But any questions on this, like how we did it? We use that model adaptable. By this way, we said that the current resource will be. Here we are saying that we are mapping Tojo word. And we are calling this. The source for this Tojo word will be map Tojo word model and what will be the current resource. We are using it over here. This resource will be mapped over here. All the values we have made it over. One question I have is now, we talked about how to fetch data from the Java content repository. Let's say I have to contact a third-party Oracle database. You will come in the same model, you will write it, or you will have a separate Java file for that. Can you tell me? I don't know. Let's not go fast. I will tell you about that. Let's not go fast. Said it's a way to write that. I will tell you about that. Here we created ours. If you want to go fast, I can go fast. But that is like you will be left with many things. I can go fast. I can discuss the whole thing in a 1-hour session. Your whole training will be up to you. That's why I am thinking. No, you don't need to go in detail. But I know I was the reason whenever I know in the context some questions I ask in real time. You know that is in the website. There would be too many external parties will be there. Of course. I will tell you about that. How do you? The reason I asked here is there any restriction? Only that this model means to understand the whatever we can retrieve from that model. We are, I will tell you to see what happened. Let me just give you a brief. But for sure I will tell you about that whole data. That is all a different type of Java class we write for that. This what we do is. This is a layer of abstraction. You can say Sling. What is the layer of abstraction between your front end, that is your components slightly or whatever you can say, and your back end file, which will do the actual business logic. Here I told you it's a POJO. I didn't say that you will write a complex business logic over here. I told you it's a POJO where you will receive object and you can do some basic manipulation. But for the complex business operation, you have to write a separate type of, which is not as services in the OSG services. And I will tell you what is the purpose of that and why would you write it, the business logic, in those type of file and why not in this, inside the Sling model. This up. Now another thing. Let me do one thing now. This is my current resource. Let me from back in, or let me go to my page and let me remove, not just the title. Let me remove the name. The name is mandatory. Let me do one thing. Let me remove the name. Whatever. What all I am injecting? I'm injecting the full name and address. Let me remove address from here. If I will remove address from here, you will see the code with film. You can see the exception started. And what does the exception say is, you will go down. We saw the board. You can say site exception cannot be initiated by. It says missing element exception not inject. All the required into the class to do for more than it says that you are injecting. Here we are injecting. Putting that out of this one is what we are not able to inject because we already have the name and put it inside the dialog. if the address only which we remove? No, of course it is talking about address because we removed address. It started playing because it said it is trying to inject address value, but it will not get the value of address from the front. That means when it tries to inject, it says that all the fields are mandatory and it needs the values for all the fields. But by default, it says that all the fields are mandatory. But to override this problem, what we do is we have a solution which we call it as optional. We use the optional annotation which says inject, don't behave like this. Don't make each and every field mandatory and make the field optional. Similarly, you can write the optional here as well, but instead of writing using the optional, you cannot eat in every field. You have another solution which is called a default injection problem. By this way, by default, all the properties will become optional. Even if you will remove this now, then all these fields will be gone. But if I will build my code base now the error will be gone in a minute. I will refresh it. Let me see if my code is successfully built. It takes some time. When you have deployed your new code, it says as well you will get like startup. Now you will see your code will not be done. And your string will be printed without the address. You can see. Hello, my name is 2G and my address is not. Now the address is not there. Let me remove this title. And here, if you will add. Now if I add an address, it says India. And here you can see now there is no user. You will be feeling it because we said that by default all the properties are optional. That's it. We discussed about these. We discussed about how you will use the link model. We discussed about site. Now, do you want to proceed or should we say it in this light? Because now I have the new things to discuss, which is now the service, the OSG service, which I was talking about. That is another topic and the client list. These are the two topics that I have to tell you. Of course, that I will be in the next session. Now giving you a brief about both of these. Your business logic, the whole complex business logic, like you said, you were saying all that you wanted to connect. For that we use OSG services to perform and we do not write it inside the model. Why we will discuss it in the next session. But we call over services for that purpose and we perform all the business logic over there. And then we will discuss about client list type of bits in the next training. The purpose of client list in AEM is to manage all your front end, that is your GSM, CS. Here I will discuss why do you need client list? Why don't you simply place your GM, CSS and use the script and styles that you do? We will discuss about all those what is the purpose of using client list in AEM and all. And how do we manage your GS, CSS and your resources using client list in AEM? Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel.